Hello YouTube, so today I want to talk about slang words and why I think humans have developed slang words and why I think we use them so much in today's language. Now, I'm not a linguist by any stretch of the imagination, but I do find this interesting from a psychological perspective. Firstly, let's start with a definition. Now basically, slang is any group of shortened words or distinct phrases that any particular social group may use to distinguish themselves from other social groups or from society as a whole. Now I think this is a pretty good place to start, since slang in today's terms has basically come to mean internet speech as opposed to real life speech. Now, slang has been around way before the internet even existed, whether it was in the language of the Australian outback, which people still don't understand today, or if it was Cockney English speakers or any other dialect of any other particular language, where slang words kind of slipped in to slowly change that language, even though it was a part of a greater whole. Now I guarantee you, if you went back 50 or even 60 years while staying in the same location, you would hardly understand what they were talking about. And this is because language evolves. Language evolves over time for us to name new technological advances or to talk about new things that exist that might not have existed 50 or 60 years ago. You need new words for the creation of the internet, for the creation of giant hadron colliders, or new scientific advances. You need new words. And as language evolves, I think slang evolves along with it. Slang needs to evolve to shorten different words, to describe different distinct phrases, and to adapt to different social groups that are slowly being created. I think this is why humans have developed slang so much. It's because language is one of the key ways we communicate ideas. And if you have a particular social group using a particular type of language or phrasing of language that not everybody may understand, then that social group is distinguished and they can keep their ideas separate and they can discuss their ideas back and forth with not many people understanding what they're saying. And the only way to really understand slang is to become immersed in a specific group and slowly understand slang as you understand the group and as you become more involved in that culture. And this leads me to why I think we use slang so much today. The internet. The internet allows people of different communities, of different languages across the world to join together. And of course this led to internet slang, where all the different communities could communicate in basically one way that everybody could understand, whether it's lol, roffle, these different emoticons, people could understand it. But then you have different slang within groups. I think this mainly has evolved from fandoms. If you're part of a fandom, you want language to express you're part of the fandom. And although there are specific words that apply to all fandoms, like shipping, OTP, BroTP, those specific terms, different fandoms do have their own slang. Now, whether this is a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. Yes, it splits groups apart, but this has always been part of human nature. To have our own groups, to feel a part of society, that we have our own little part that we can make sense of, that we can talk to people about, that we can converse with, and we feel safe. We feel safe within our communities, and slang is just another way of expressing that safety, of being able to say something that somebody else can understand, but somebody else might not be able to. And is this a good thing? Well, I would argue yes, it's a good thing. It's a good thing that people feel they belong. It's a good thing we can communicate with each other, even if we're not communicating with everybody. But it can also be a dangerous thing. If we develop slang so much within these communities, eventually we will be creating completely new languages. And if we keep on creating new languages for only specific social groups, then new and bigger social groups will split apart. So instead of being divided into language and countries, the world will be divided into social groups, or fandom groups, or TV groups, whatever you want to call them. And although I know this is a massive, big picture and a massive exaggeration of what actually is happening, it is still a possibility. So what am I saying? I'm saying slang is a good thing. It allows you to communicate with people who share the same ideas as you and who have relatively the same thoughts as you. It allows you to discuss with them. It allows you to better understand the community that you're a part of. But on the other hand, it can be dangerous. You don't want to ostracize other groups. You want to try and understand them. And maybe learning their slang and learning their language is one way of doing that. But you don't necessarily need to become a part of all the groups to understand everybody. You just need to let a few of their ideas flow back and forth so you can get some understanding. You can keep those pathways open. You can have a common language while at the same time having your own slang, just so that community doesn't keep on getting fragmented into smaller and smaller groups. And this, I think, is the beauty of humanity, that we can have our own smaller social groups that we are a part of and that we like to talk back and forth and that we have our friends in. But that we can also come together in a larger community with one or a couple of common languages to discuss bigger and global ideas that we can all understand and that hopefully will better the human race together. This has just been a couple of thoughts on slang, and it kind of got a bit deep there at the end. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any discussion on your own thoughts on slang, leave them down below in the comments and I'll do my best to have a chat with you down there. You'll see me next week. Have an awesome week, and don't forget to be awesome.